Henry James, an American author, regarded as the key translation figure between literary realism and literary modernism, and himself an American citizen who became a British subject shortly before his death, once wrote, "It is, I think, an indisputable fact that Americans are, as Americans, the most self-conscious people in the world, and the most addicted to the belief that the other nations are in a conspiracy to undervalue them." Today on the Simpsons Ass podcast, we discuss a broad subject matter of the Simpsons and globalization, how the Simpsons represents the American ideal, how the Simpsons teaches the rest of the world about America, and if it is their place to do so. As usual, you can post comments, rebuttals, and argumentative points where this podcast is hosted on tophatsandcanes.com. I thank you for your attention, ask you please not to be offended if you live in the colonies, and also insist that you enjoy this big piece of Simpsons ass. Capital City, my home sweet, swinging home. Ba-ba-da-ba.
Should we start again then?
That's us again, yeah.
We started?
We have.
Oh,
Should we
God.
start with me singing? The way all podcasts should start in the whole world.
Okay, we'll do your little intro again.
So, today on the Simpsons Ass podcast, globalization and the representation of the American ideal as seen in the representation of the Simpsons and the reflection in other countries.
I just want to add that I had nothing to do with this. I just turn up and do my bit and leave.
Writing the titles is a lot harder than it sounds, people. You know, I'm trying to make it sound like it's funny, like educationally funny, you know what I mean? Like, so people will get this, oh, this is obviously some satiricism on the idea of education that this handsome fellow was going on about, but I don't think it's coming over.
No, it's not. It's not working.
Well, too bad. You know, like there has to be a reason for us to sit here and talk about Simpsons.
So it's essentially the things that we've learned about the world
Yes.
and America just from The Simpsons.
Yes, because there are a lot of weird things that states and state capitals is still something that kind of confuses me.
Yeah, that was, as I was saying, again, I say lots of things, I say off camera, it's not off microphone. When I was younger, I thought capital city was an actual place.
Oh, sweet.
You know, it was up there
And
with
it's
like
not.
New York, Chicago, and it took me a long time before I realised it's not. It's literally just
I don't think I even
the capital.
ever clicked onto that. Like I just at some point just kind of went, well, I've never seen this mentioned anywhere else. Maybe it's not real. I don't know.
But I just thought it was. It had to be a place.
Yeah.
Because they reference it all the time. Well, yeah, not all the time, but they reference it enough.
It's enough times that you realise it. Like we
Yeah.
said last time, there's a lot of Simpsons stuff that just gets mentioned once and then never again. So it is part of like the Simpsons canon, capital city.
But it's interesting as well because it's like, you never would have thought that Springfield is not the major city of whatever magic state it's in. For some reason in your head, it's like, well, for me at least, surely they're just living the centre, busiest part of this city, but they don't. They live in another little town in a state, which, you know, kind of makes sense now, but when I was younger, it didn't make any sense at all.
It's one of those. It's like I've learned pretty much everything I know about life in the world through TV. So when I hear like small states and big cities, I think, well, they're either the ones that live on the farms or the ones that live in the cities.
Yeah, that's
So
it.
the
There's
fact
no
that-
in between.
Yeah, the fact that they're just living in a normal looking town, like, oh, this must be one of the big places.
That's it. But it's not.
It's not. No.
And they make a big deal about the fact in Dancing Homer that they're in the big city now, and the small town ways won't apply.
They're the
They don't
bumpkins.
work.
You know what's funny about that? Branson, Missouri, as well. I eventually assumed that this must be a fake place, but then I realized they mention it in King of the Hill at some points as well. So it's
Must
like,
be
oh,
true.
it's a
King-
real place then, because
King of the Hill would not lie.
They don't fuck around with that, do
Yeah.
they? That's another point. Like a representation of America in King of the Hill is kind of like the crux of the whole thing, and it's so like spot on and like real that it's like documentarian. It really is. Like I don't think they fucked around with any part of it.
No.
There, like when they're going to Austin to see the art, like, and you roll
Yeah.
into Austin and Hank puts the locks on the doors when he sees the sign
Yeah.
and stuff. And it's like it's made the separation between Austin, Texas, and the rest of Texas in my head early on. And then when you hear like, oh, that's where all the hipsters live, you go, oh yeah, because
Makes sense.
it's where there are people that Hank doesn't like live in
Yeah.
Texas.
You're gonna get me off track and go talking about the New Orleans episode in a minute, which is
Of
I could do of King of the Hill.
oh god, yeah,
Yeah,
when
but
the
that's-
Super Bowl one.
That's too much of a beautiful, wonderful tangent. But yeah, back to The Simpsons. I mean, we watched an episode before. It's the one, the Quickie Mart one where Apu loses his job,
Yeah.
and the guy, like the really annoyed customer, tries to destroy the Twinkie. And he shouts that you can't.
We didn't know what a Twinkie was.
I don't know. No.
You can get them now. I still think they're in the American food section, or you can find them in the Home and Bargains somewhere. It's one of those weird things.
But when I was a kid,
No idea. Listen to this, America. If you're listening, America with a K. Yeah, right. We didn't know what Oreos were until a few years ago.
Yeah, that's
Do you
true.
remember
Yeah.
pre-Oreos world?
Yeah.
It's insane to think about that now.
that bit with Mo, and he brings the box of regular Oreos, and
Doesn't make no sense,
yeah,
does it?
it's like I don't know. I was
Like,
like,
what are you talking about?
What are they? And there's nothing wrong with this Oreo. Oh wait.
It's so weird when you think about it, like, because again, like Reese's peanut butter things, they weren't a thing till about 6 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
And now there's all the different versions of them, but you can only get the alternate versions of them from the American food section, which is always really well hidden in the supermarket because it's that expensive. American candy stores were like a big thing for a few years.
Yeah.
And now like the steam went out of them because you
Okay.
can't charge someone £5 for a fucking box of cornflakes. You just can't do that. It's not right. It's not ethical.
Tang.
Tang.
I didn't know what Tang was.
Oh my god! Because Tang means Poo-tang.
Yeah.
You know, we know what that Americanization
Yeah.
means, but we don't know what Tang. And they don't explain it either. And
No.
were they relying on that for the joke?
No, because I think it's a
Because
known thing in America.
Yeah, because he says like, if anyone knows where to get some Tang around here, I knew it would be you. I'm like, that's not if anyone knows where to get some tail around here.
That's how I would have taken it. But I think it's because, isn't it banned, or it just kind of went bust, maybe? I think, I'm
It's
not sure.
because we learnt this from The Wire season 2. Tang was what the astronauts drank.
That was it.
Yes. See, again, this is weird stuff that's imprinted in American subculture that they know all about, but we don't.
Yeah.
Because, like, we were watching another episode before, and there's a bit in the cinema, and there's the let's all go to the lobby thing.
Yeah, we don't get that.
I didn't get that until the Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie came out, and they did like a parody of it with Mastodon doing a "Let's All Go to the Lobby" song. It's like, oh, this is a thing for them.
That's it. It's almost like you need some other show to show you that it's not just the Simpsons.
You got to
only
connect
thing.
it all,
Yeah.
so it's not just like a fictitious thing.
So we're sitting there going, "That's weird. That's a weird little Simpsons thing. Why did they put that in?" But it's not. It's American
It's
cultural
just like a
thing.
weird American thing.
Yeah.
I always say how like I learn everything about presidents through The Simpsons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't need to know anything about presidents because it just doesn't come up.
But you mentioned as well about the elephant and the donkey.
Yeah.
I had no idea what that was either until the Simpsons.
I didn't know anything about politics in America, and
Yeah.
from watching American TV. I think I know more about politics in America through watching The Wire and The Simpsons and
Yeah.
than
House
I do
of
here.
Cards.
Because like, it's weird. House of Cards, The Wire, pretty much everything. There's lots of stuff set in politics and stuff there. And it's all about like the day to day, the meaning of like, it's all about the function of politics. But the things in this country set around politics, like the thick of it.
Yeah.
It's not about the politics, is it? It's about the politicians.
The absurdity of it all.
I
yeah.
had to watch the thick of it a few times to understand what department they were in.
Yeah. But I think that's kind of the gag as well. They don't even.
They don't say what side they are either, do
Yeah,
they? They just say the opposition.
That's it.
So you don't know what
Yeah.
party they are. Whereas everything in American party politics.
But that's the difference between, well, before we start digressing again, but remember I went to see who's the showrunner for The Simpsons in like its peak years. He was doing like a talk on the BBC a few years ago, and he was talking about the distinct differences in comedy between America and the UK, and how sometimes the English shows don't tend to translate very well because we tend to have almost a negative opinion of everything. So our political things are like, it's all just a shambles. There's no heroes in it. They're all just idiots.
Right, yeah.
And equally, some of our greatest comedic heroes are just bad people, like Basil Fawlty, Blackadder. These
That's
are not
true,
good
yeah.
people.
No.
That we still root for them because we like to pull people down in this country. That's kind of our stock in trade. So like Parks and Rec, we love Parks and Rec, but there's no English equivalent.
Okay.
Because everyone, even when they're a little bit inept, has still got some core of goodness to them.
Yeah, that's right. On that, right, and both of those topics connecting. The guy who made Parks and Rec, he did The American Office.
Yeah,
And again, that's
what I'm talking
like
about.
David Brent is one of those characters, isn't he? He's just like a twat.
Yeah.
He's unlikable, and they tried to do that in America, and it just Michael Scott became something that like you kind of had to like because he was trying that hard. Like I just rewatched it the last 2-3 months, and I can't abide that character because it's you just force fed that you have to like him.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what everything that happens in The Office is around. Apart from Jim and Pam, there's all these weird people that do weird things, and like there's not much there to like, but you're there that much that you grow to like them, much like in an Office.
Yeah.
Whereas in Parks and Rec, it's the complete opposite. Everyone's so great and so lovable.
Yeah.
Like even Ron, who's like the jerk, is just like the best character because
like
he's
best
like a
jerk
cool
you could
guy.
ever meet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's that weird, like exactly what you're saying, disconnected comedy.
Whereas in the UK, this would just never happen.
Same with politics, like you were saying as well. Like once they get in, everyone disowns them and say like, "Oh, I don't vote because they're all bollocks. They're all fake. They're all twats." Whereas in America, like they'll vote for someone, and even when they're at fucking 23 disapproval ratings, they'll be like, "Well, give them a chance. You got to respect the office."
That's another thing. Going back to the politics thing of The Simpsons, the two-party system from that.
My God, yes,
the two-party system.
It's a two-party system. You have to vote for one of us. And then I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, two sides." And then they vote for which side?
People just blindly do it.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. I suppose then, in like the globalization sense, stuff that you learn from The Simpsons that can be applied to the rest of the world, like when The Simpsons go to a country. Now, the one when they come to Great Britain is obviously farcical, but the ones where...
But that's it, though. Is it farcical to an American? They have this weird view of us, don't they? They have this like Harry Potter is everywhere kind of thing.
I like that they're also quite on the money with stuff, though. I mean, when they had that, this is the longest running British sitcom. All 12 episodes, which is kind of true. I mean, even The Office, what we were talking about earlier, that's, I think, in total,
seasons, isn't it?
it's like 18 episodes in total. And, like, The Office America has, like, more in one season. So, yeah, there is that. We just don't have the money and the manpower to kind of...
And that's something that always pissed me off about, like, American TV and cartoons, like, the way they depict everyone as, like, they don't understand that we're not all Cockneys, basically. Like, they have no idea what the north of England is. Like, I don't expect them to know where fucking Bake Up and, like, Chorley and all that shit is. But, like, there's all sorts of places,
There's a vast difference.
It's a different country. Like, if you stereotyped everyone in America as being Southerners, like, they'd all be fucking rednecks, and they would not like that, would they?
No, it's a strange one. But then, apart from the UK one, so Japan, the things I learned about Japan, I've never been to Japan, but if I have to go by The Simpsons, in some ways it's a very sophisticated culture, but in some ways there's really rudimentarily strange, sociopathic almost, where they kind of get pleasure from the suffering of others. That seems to be a thing that exists in that culture. It's probably way off.
Yeah,
but that's what it tries to portray with the game shows.
The whole Japanese game show being a torture thing is like a trope. I know you don't like that word, that's why I emphasize it. But it's been done to death so many times. Like, and now I doubt they even do that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing as well. We're referencing things as if it was like a last week episode, but it's probably like 15 years
ago.
Old,
I was thinking about this. Speaking of, the one when Homer becomes big fat dude, that was 1995. So
22 years ago.
So I was born in 85, so I would have been 10 when that was out, yeah. Did I know what obesity was before that? 10 years old, did I?
Probably not.
It's like, I'd never seen a guy in a moo-moo before, so that was probably like, oh, right, okay, so there's guys who are dead fat. Like, you learn stuff without even realising it. It's come from there, don't you? Something that I only ever saw on The Simpsons, I may have seen it somewhere else, the Ayatollah. Because he's selling a T-shirt so you can stick it to the Ayatollah.
Yeah.
What's that?
What does that mean?
What is that? Who is that? Was that like a Gulf War thing?
That's it. And this is the thing as well. I mean, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. I didn't know who they were.
No.
I know this is again when I was young.
It takes you a long time to come across this stuff in the real world.
The complete reference is just lost on me. But then later on, it's like, oh god, yeah, and then it's fine. But when you're a kid, I don't know what that means.
And it never like hinders the enjoyment really either, does it?
No, if anything, it's just when you watch it again, it's just like an extra. It's like a
reward for
a bonus gag. Yeah, you
for
like
so many fucking years.
That's it. Nice one. I think that finally paid off. But yeah, there's loads of cultural references, which is probably hard for me to pinpoint now because by now I've learnt enough to understand them. But as a kid, I was just like shrugging, but still laughing along, as you say. I didn't really understand the episode the one where Bart's he's seen as like the head of the mafia group.
Right.
And obviously loads of links to like various gangster films, but at the time I didn't.
Is that another conversation for another podcast? The amount of like stuff that you like don't know is a reference,
Possibly,
because it's bizarre, isn't it? Like the amount of times that you like us people watching TV as much as those people do have seen Flowers for Algernon is insane. You know, like when Homer gets the crayon up his brain.
Yeah.
It's been done in so many different things. I didn't realize it until Always Sunny did an episode called Flowers for Charlie, and I was like, "Oh shit, this is like this is that plot from The Simpsons."
Yeah.
And then I went and read the book. It's like this is beat for beat kind of what's happened, but like much sadder.
Yeah.
My brother reckons that the Ulysses is referenced all the time in Simpsons, and like I don't think it is. That's probably because I only got like a few chapters in before I gave up because it's such a fucking hard read.
No, I've heard a few people say this, but I'm not sure it is either. It's one of these things because you made the effort to do it, then you start seeing it and everything. Don't get me wrong; it's obviously one of the great works of
I reckon
history, but people like to wear it as a badge.
It's that like that geek Harvard writer thing that the Simpsons allude to themselves. Like, you know, they'd want to put that in there, wouldn't they, for the other Harvardites?
I mean, it's perfectly possible, but I don't think it's quite as on the nose. At least if it's so obscure to the point where you could argue that it's not in there.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean that it's there either. No, it's just I'm not particularly.
Chris is not having that.
I'm not having that.
No, so it is a fucking terrible book. I don't care what people say. It's just
it's not a terrible book.
It is. It's just there's no joy to be had in it. It's so bizarre.
Maybe not for you.
It's an exercise in fucking futility is what it is. I just say what you fucking mean and let's be on with it. Jesus.
The episode with Michael Jackson. That's not Michael Jackson, but it's Michael Jackson.
Yes.
That is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but I had never seen the film or read the book when I was like 6 or 7, whenever the episode came out. So there's lots of things in it where I know something's weird's happening. I know they're referencing something, but I can't quite say
it's
why.
Like, it's like how long they spend. Like, it's something you realise more now. It's like, well, this scene's got a lot more detail in it than the last scene. Like, they've splashed on the colour and stuff, and like they're standing in a weird position. Like, again, we were watching the Pooh loses the Quickie Mart one, and when they were walking up the hill and stuff, and it was like, this is a different score. This is obviously a wide shot that they wouldn't use otherwise. What's this a reference to, Chris? And Chris was like, oh yeah, it's Lawrence of Arabia. Have you not seen Lawrence of Arabia? He's like, no, I haven't.
There you go. There's loads of Citizen Kane stuff.
Citizen Kane all over the place.
You didn't get it when you were a kid.
No, man, no idea. And why would you? You know, that's another one. I'd seen it so many times. I'll tell you what, Rear Window, Hitchcock.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it for years. I'm a big Hitchcock guy, big Hitchcockian, but I never watched that movie for years because I was like, I've seen it in so many other things, Simpsons especially. I know exactly what happens, but then at the end of it, spoiler alert, it's not what happens in all these things because all these things are parodies of that. Yeah. So at the end of those things, it's like the Simpsons ones, like, oh, they've seen Rear Window, so what we're gonna do is turn it around, and guess what? Like, it wasn't the guy who you thought it was. Yeah. Whereas, suppose in Rear Window, spoiler alert, it is the guy who you thought it was. It's bizarre. Like, do you think it ruins these things or it makes them better? Or
I mean, to my shame, I only watched Rear Window for the first time about 10 years ago, so that whole episode was completely just bizarre to me. Again, I didn't even get that it was a reference. It was just this weird, he's going a bit insane because he's locked up in his room. And then years later, it's like, oh my god, like a thunderbolt.
Yeah, cracks.
Yeah.
I saw, like, there was a whole movies that did the exact same thing, so I was like, oh, this must be a thing. And then you see it somewhere else. Like, I watch a lot of sitcoms as well, so I've probably seen it somewhere in there. On topic, do you think you can, like, learning things about America through The Simpsons still? Because now, like, we're in a much more...
It's strange because I've...
You know, information-fed world. Like, you can get all this stuff anywhere.
Whenever I go to America, I'm always struck by, when I watch television there, the amount of shows that we just never get over here. Because we get a lot of American television. And even now, when we're not actually watching television that much, we're just getting things online. We still get a lot of American TV shows, but we don't get everything because there's a lot of shit. Particularly talk shows. There's so many talk shows, and Simpsons reference some of them, and we've never seen them.
Yeah. That's a fucking good
like,
point.
I know that Sally Jesse Raphael is a person, but I've never ever seen a show.
That was on over here.
But Was it? Okay, but I've never seen it, but I know it's in The Simpsons.
Like, was Ben right? Okay, Gentle Ben.
Yeah, was that a thing, or did they make it up? It could be either. I feel like it might be a thing.
Is Ben from something?
The bear with like the mic. Yeah, I know. I feel like that's a thing, but I don't know whether it's just my childhood head has decided that it's a thing because it's in The Simpsons, so it must have existed. And then I probably got this image of a show that doesn't exist, but I've definitely seen it somewhere.
You know, it's like Grizzly Adams. That wasn't on over here, was it? And it's been referenced in so many things. Simpsons, American Dad, fucking Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
Grizzly Adams did have a beard. Like, I know everything about Grizzly Adams, you know? It's like the big sickum... You know, perfect example of this, Urkel.
Yeah, I don't know what Urkel is.
What the fuck is Urkel?
Don't know what Urkel is.
But at the same time, I know exactly what he is.
Yeah.
He's a nerdy black
Just
kid
like
who says,
Urkel.
did I do that? Yeah. Because I've seen that many things doing that voice, that impression.
Just like Urkel.
Just like Urkel. Like Urkel.
But again, never seen the show. Never seen an episode of whatever show he's in, if he's even in a show.
So you're one of these people who goes to America. You're one of these people. Like, I'm not one of these people. I don't go anywhere. I don't even go outside the flat if I can help it. But I've never had the desire to go to a different country just to have a look at stuff, because I see all this stuff through watching TV. I really do.
That's enough.
And like, it's like, it would be cool to see in person, but it's not like I'm going to go all the way and see it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I watch a lot of Canadian TV, like a lot of Canadian TV, because I like Trailer Park Boys so much. Fucking Corner Gas, Kids in the Hall, Letterkenny. My God, you've got to watch Letterkenny. It's the best fucking thing I've seen in years. Like, I only discovered it last year, and I've watched the 3 seasons 6 times. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's great. But like, watching Trailer Park Boys especially, there's so much of it. I know much more about Canada now than I ever did. Like, I know like the different provinces. I know like Ottawa is nearer the mountains than the big cities are. Like, I know toonies and loonies means pennies. I know all these weird things that are of no use to me here in this country. But I've watched that much TV. I've learned stuff from it.
It's just pop.
Much like in The Simpsons.
That's it. I think it's just because The Simpsons was such a phenomenon. Much more before phenomenons even existed.
It was the first phenomenon.
Yeah, definitely in my lifetime. And the fact that it's still going is just, it's kind of incredible.
Yeah. It's much more like the stuff about American culture is on purpose now. Like, they took so many swings at Trump. I'm surprised they're still going.
Yeah. I mean, I never got... I'm thinking of characters now. Professor Frink, I never knew that he was...
Jerry Lewis?
Yeah, I never knew that.
It took a few years for that to click on, until like they put Jerry Lewis on an episode with him.
Yeah, that's when you get it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, in America you get that reference straight away. One of the references I did get, and I used to love it as well, as watching The Cosby Show as a kid. Probably can't look at it anymore, but getting the Dr. Hibbert family references to being like The Cosby Show, that was always pretty good. Because I felt like, there's a joke I've got there.
Well done.
Yeah, well done me. Well done me. What else?
There are like other countries that they go to as the series progresses, but those episodes don't stand out as much. Like, did they go to France? I can't think of an episode where they go to France, but they must have been to France.
Must have been to France. They've been to Italy.
They've been to Italy. I know they've been to Brazil.
The Italy one feels always really a little bit shit to me.
What's the Italy one?
It's a Sideshow Bob episode, isn't he? He's like the
mayor
of,
yeah,
like, an Italian
yeah.
village.
It's like, I'd call that a Bob episode than a
The
Simpsons are going to episode.
I mean, they go to Brazil, which it's not sticking in my memory what really happens in that episode. I know but Homer gets kidnapped.
Yeah.
But in terms of,
and this kidnapper's making him a scrapbook.
and that's right, yeah. Because I'm trying to remember how we even go there, but. Doesn't Lisa have like a
Lisa's
video
got a pen
pal?
pal? That's it.
He's always playing football.
Yeah.
Because that's what Brazilians do.
It's quite offensive once they get to other countries, isn't it? Yeah.
But I think that's kind of the point, though, isn't it? Everything's an exaggeration. So even when he goes to New York, really, that's almost like a foreign country to Homer. And he just hated it because he'd been once, hadn't he, in like the 70s or something.
The Chuds came at him.
And then he went back, had to go back again, and he never wanted to go back.
Do I know what the Chuds are? What does that mean?
No.
Well, there you go. There's something else I still don't know. And that's an episode I watch a lot as well.
Yeah.
That's a good episode, man. Simpsons teaches us so much about like the different places, like the stereotypes of people and stuff. Only Krav Garash. That's not real.
I wish it was. Someone must have made it by now, surely. Duff beer is real now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like energy drinks and shit, though, isn't it? It's not like this.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh god, what terrible.
Like Flaming Moe's or energy drinks.
I think casual drinking as well. Bizarrely, for a country which is kind of really heavy on drinking, the UK. I came from my dad in particular does not really drink.
Class act. Good guy.
Yeah, class act. But anyway,
the best Howard, I would say.
I hadn't really been around this idea of like parents just, well, your dad drinking, and in The Simpsons, it's like seemingly every male drinks quite heavily.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It's fine, absolutely fine. Now it could have just been this. I'm talking from my own personal anomaly, but I mean, I don't know about your personal background, whether there's big drinking there as well. But maybe it's slightly different. English tend to a big hard drinking country, but it's more, I don't know.
Well, now we're getting onto like the representation of the American family in The Simpsons.
I think drinking at home in the UK, we go out to drink, and I know they go to Moe's, but Homer is constantly having a beer at home. I don't think
that's something I see on TV a lot.
Yeah, but it's not really a thing in. So as far as I'm aware,
I don't see it in English TV at all.
Yeah,
I've never put that together, but that's totally true.
Yeah, I never really drink at home. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. Of course it does, but I think the only people who do drink at home, I'm gonna be disingenuous, are probably people with a drinking problem, because we use it as a much more social thing. There's a great essay by George Orwell, which is just about how the pub is the place where like politics is formed and people make friendships and good discussion kind of comes out. It's not necessarily true anymore. It's written at a time when it probably was true. But it's like the birth of socialism comes from like pubs.
The working man's meeting
that's
points.
It. That's essentially it. I don't think it necessarily translates to that anymore. Whereas in America, it doesn't kind of seem that way. They don't tend to have pubs, especially in my. But when I've travelled around America, they've got bars, like lots of bars. They don't have pubs like we have pubs, and yeah, it's strange. So the concept of alcohol, we probably drink more per capita, like units, than Americans do, I imagine. But I don't know this kind of constant drinking of beer, constant having a beer.
Well, you know what they say about American beer?
Yeah.
It's like having sex with a canoe. Fucking close to water.
It's pretty bad.
I wouldn't know because I don't drink, but this is what Monty Python said. So
I was there for 4th of July once a few years ago, and the person I was staying with, the dad of the family, was constantly giving me bottles of, I think it was Coors, and I mean all day. And by the end of the day, I was all right, and I was thinking like, if this is the UK, I would be unconscious now. The amount I'd had all day. But then I looked at the beer, it was like 1.5%. I was like, what's the point? It's kind of...
I don't want to get into a tangent here, but I think like this is what like the American social structure is. Like the blue collar man comes home, cracks open a cold one because he deserves it, because he's worked hard all day.
You might be right.
That's what they do, instead of thinking, well, hang on, why am I working hard all day for this other prick and not making this half the much money this guy's making?
Maybe.
But this is why a lot of them end up fucking alcoholics and drug addicts, because they focus too much on the getting home to crack open a cold one part, you know?
That's the other thing as well, though, from The Simpsons, that ideas about America. Everyone has a massive house.
Yes.
They again, being disingenuous again to all of America, but when I've been there, I've known lots of people on equally the same wage as me, and they all have massive houses.
Yeah, it's something I think about all the time watching TV, because it's either like a big house, a mansion, or a fucking shack. There's no in between. Like, poor people live in like walk up buildings, ghetto buildings and stuff, and then there's like those big houses.
Yeah.
I never thought of The Simpsons as a well-to-do family, but that's a big friggin' house.
It's just Homer's wage.
Yeah, it's a single parent family.
Single income family. Single income family, 3 children.
2 cars.
Yeah. So it must be
the property tax and the size of that place alone, man. The garden as well, like something in this country you do it like you judge a place by the garden, don't you?
Having a garden in this country is good. But yeah, that's something I've definitely got from The Simpsons. That has, I mean, I can't remember any other American shows where you kind of see the outside of the property. With sitcoms in particular, you don't see it. You get a feel for how big the property is.
Yeah, they do like an establishing shot of like the building, and then you like, oh look, like they live in an apartment building, so they're down to earth. Working class people. It's like, oh, they live in the suburbs, so they're white and they're well off, and their kids are going to be brats.
That's it.
It's like, oh, they live in a mansion, they're just dicks. That's how it works. Like, establish and shot of the building, and then you know who's inside.
Yeah. Show and tell. I got that from The Simpsons. Show and tell's not a thing in this country, really. Apparently it is now.
Yeah.
In schools. Apparently schools do that now. But they didn't do it when I was there. We never had show and tell. And it's from The Simpsons.
Dodgeball as well.
Dodgeball, got that from The Simpsons.
That's something that happens now. Like, and like, I was working in a school and kids were playing that. I was like, I thought this was just like a TV thing. Like, why are we doing this? Like,
exactly.
What are we doing, guys?
But the first instance I came across it was The Simpsons.
Yeah, first place I saw it, and then it's in the real world. They could just make this shit up and we wouldn't know.
That's it. Yeah, they're controlling the planet. We're slowly getting our heads around it. I always remember it. Again, the little weird things that stick with you forever. It was like in year 8. I don't know what that translates to in grades.
Yeah, I don't
second
understand
year,
how school works
second
in the
year of
country.
senior school here, and we had to write an essay. It was, I think, the American election was going on at the time. We had to write an essay about who do you think should win, and obviously we had no fucking clue. But I said I wanted Bob Dole to win. I didn't know at the time that he was a conservative, because obviously now I probably wouldn't want him. But my teacher then said, like, why? Yeah, like, can you elaborate why? And I was like, I just thought his character was quite funny in The Simpsons. that was the only reason why.
Let's summarize this, because this is a really weird, strange subject that's got into American alcoholism.
Yeah.
What we learn from watching The Simpsons about that country is what they want us to see. They paint the ideal of the American norm, and that's kind of what we get. But I guess a lot of the American culture is the marketing of American culture. It's the American dream is more a catchphrase than it is an attainable feat now, and a part of that is Twinkies, big houses and cars and stuff. So you see that on the TV, and like, I'm placing this together with The Simpsons, and placing this together with the American life, and then when you see it in the real world, it does kind of take you back a bit. You go, shit, look, that's a Twinkie. This is like this fictitious thing, much like the American dream. But if this Twinkie can behold, the American dream can behold. So, ergo, that's a better country than us.
But this is why you need to go to America, mate.
To get Twinkies.
No, but
the things...
I'll get
a Twinkie now.
It's not that. The things that what I found America so fascinating as a country, is that it's nothing like we see in TV and film. The things that I found in America, which were kind of... I mean, my favourite writers are like Richard Yates, and Sam Shepard, R.I.P. very recently, because it's they gonna get to like a heart of America, which isn't really depicted quite as well.
Yeah.
In TV and film. I mean, I always remember going to Chicago and being astounded by how beautiful the city was, but then how many people were on the streets, because it's just never really shown on television. But there were so many homeless people. It was ridiculous. I was amazed.
They don't have unemployment there, do they?
That's it. So the abject poverty was just something that I'd never really considered in my head. I assumed, obviously, that they were poor people, but they were like, in The Simpsons, like Cletus, you know. They still had a house. They still got by. But they weren't. It wasn't like that at all. And then the vast differences in states. So they're set essentially, as far as I can see, different countries. They're essentially like a Europe. They're all separate. Well, separate kind of cultures. Like Minnesota is nothing like Wisconsin, even though it's like right next to it. The people are like very different. Going to Fargo was nothing like Fargo, which is a shame. Which was a big shame. Nothing going on there. Not a thing going on there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. New York, though, I'll give you New York. New York is exactly as you imagine New York to be.
I think that's because so much of American media focuses on New York, doesn't
That's it.
Yeah.
New York is. Not that they don't give a fuck about you, but they don't have to give a fuck about you.
They're busy.
They're in New York. What are you doing? You're visiting New York. Fuck you. You're in my way. I've got shit to do. And it's, you know, at first it's like intimidating, but after a while it's like, yeah, all right, I get it, man. I've got fucking shit to do. Get out of my way.
I don't think there's a big point to make. It was just an observation, isn't it? Yeah.
You always are.
So there you go, American society. If you're listening and you feel you've been wronged, get in touch with us and complain.
Or complain to The Simpsons because it's their fault.
Or complain to Mac Ronan. Yeah.
It's essentially his problem.
Okay, well done. Let's go get some Twinkies. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.